In this video, we are going to cover general workplace policies, and these are different topics that we see that come up for potential employees and new employees that they may struggle with or have a difference of opinion. And so these are just some barriers that we would like you all to know to help you be more successful in your next opportunity. Attendance is one of the largest issues that we see come through our door at Goodwill. Best practice is not cutting it close as a general overview. So that means showing up 10 minutes before your shift. And so if that looks like you starting at 8 o'clock, that means that you're out the door and in the parking lot by 7:50. This gives you enough time to unload whatever you have for the day. It allows you to change your shoes. It gives you time to punch in and then end up where you're going to be for the day. It also has an issue of if your employer gives you breaks, this is a 15-minute break or a lunch break that you are returning back to work on time. So if you're given a 30-minute lunch break, that doesn't mean that you're walking in the door at 30 minutes. You are actually at your station at 30 minutes. This is one of the most common things that people have an issue with when we hear back from employers. Things that you'd want to avoid as well as far as calling in, because life happens, that you frequently call in early on in your attendance policy. So if you are in the first month, that is not a time for you to call in sick or for you to take vacation time. A general practice rule would be that your vacation days or sick time would be around 3 months in. That gives you a 90-day cushion or practice as far as what an employer should expect out of you. There are also certain days of the week that may play heavier versus others. So taking days before vacation, general vacation days. So we could talk about Memorial Day or 4th of July or Christmas. The days before or after those days may weigh significantly more than others. And so you'd want to make sure that you're getting those days approved beforehand so that your employer is aware that you're going to be off. As far as sick days, if you were looking to get a vacation day out of those days leading up to, or on a Friday or a Monday call-in, it looks different on those days because of it looks like you're trying to get out of work or avoid work to increase your weekend. We also want to avoid using sick days as personal days. So we have a handful of people every week call in that say that they have things to take care of and that they just didn't go into work. So they were a no call, no show. And for a lot of attendance policies out there, a no call, no show could be a fireable offense. You would not get away with it more than twice for most employees or most employers. We also want to avoid if we asked for vacation time off and we didn't get that approved, to call in sick that day that you were looking to have off. That looks really bad from an employer standpoint. Dress code is one that is obviously going to be a wide spectrum. For some of you, that means steel-toed boots is part of your wardrobe. Others, that means safety vest. Others, that is professional gear. So you want to consult your HR department or your employee handbook that really spells out what is expected of you. If you ever have any issues at all, the first direction that you should go is either that handbook or your HR person or contact. So we also want to make sure that anything that we wear that is not going to be offensive to any persons, whether that is your boss or coworker, it wants to be a positive message. So that means no profanity or drug paraphernalia. It increases the ability to connect with others and not turn other people off. We don't want to wear anything that would be discriminatory or offensive if we can help it. The first section, as far as your importance goes as far as your dress is that you should think that you can perform your job to the highest level of safety. So that means not having tears in your jeans or holes in pockets, so that you're not putting something in your pocket and then it accidentally slips out because your clothes have some kind of damage to them. This also could look like wearing the right length of clothing. This could also mean that you don't wear hooded sweatshirts around machinery that it could get caught in. Yoga pants could be an issue at some places. Outfits that are just not meant to be worn at work. Obviously, flip-flops, sandals for places that you're not allowed to wear that. That's something that you'll have to just make sure that you're aware of. Some places you're able to wear hats, others are not. So make sure that you're cleared with a supervisor if that's something that you are interested in wearing. You also want to make sure that your professional appearance is something that is looked at least on your way out the door, to make sure that you're not disheveled. Your hair and facial hair are neatly groomed. This also could include jewelry as part as of your wardrobe. You want to make sure that if you're wearing any kind of longer chain or bracelet, that this isn't going to be a deterrent of your job. So make sure that you're properly secure with everything that you're wearing. As far as professional behavior, we want to make sure that we're not eliminating positive growth as a professional. So we want to make sure that we are not only respectful to the people that we are that are above us in authority, but also to the people that we work with. And so we want to respect all of our authority figures, of course, but we also want to respect the people that we work with. That looks like also paying attention to what others are doing. So this could look like making sure that you're wearing the proper safety gear, which could be, your gloves or hats or proper shoes. This could look like safety goggles at all times, as well as following any other safety procedures that are in the building. Why this is important is because it's not just safety for you, but it's also for the safety of others that you're following these procedures. You also want to make sure that you're asking directions on anything that's unclear. There are some times where people get into the bad habit of assuming that they know what your supervisor is wanting you to do, and you want to make sure that at all times that you are being given approval to do your job. So that speaks to being reliable, that people can count on you when they give you directions, that you'll follow it. But then if there isn't clear directions, that you're going out and seeking those directions. Like we talked about, you don't want to assume anything while you're at your job. You also don't want to be confrontational. So there are times where days are going to be long, or you're not going to get enough sleep, or you didn't get enough caffeine or coffee, and somebody is going to rub you wrong, whether that's a coworker or a supervisor, and there's a right approach to things, and there might actually be an issue, and you want to make sure that gets clarified. However, that shouldn't look like yelling or throwing things or anything that would make somebody assume that you're angry at your professional job. Ignoring problems is also an issue. So when we talked about if there is an issue and you need to confront somebody, that's something we want to be aware of. But we also want to make sure that if there is a problem, if you do see something, that you say something. We also want to avoid any kind of behavior that's inappropriate, rude, unpleasant, disturbing, or offensive in language. This could look like any common word that is used in frustration. We also want to avoid anything with race or sexuality or gender. Those are all different topics that we want to make sure that nobody's feeling ostracized or negative in their speech. Cell phone use is a very touchy subject for most people. We want to be aware that most people at this point have a cell phone, and that they're going to be likely to need that cell phone at some point in their day. This means that during work there might be an issue, and we want to make sure that is something that is taken care of. However, in the workplace setting, they are paying you for your time. And a cell phone is very distracting for most people. This is why employers have started to implement cell phone usage policies. And those could look like a wide range of things. However, most manufacturers are now going to that no cell phone use at all. So you would be able to use your cell phone on your 15-minute break or at your lunchtime, or if you needed to take vacation for an emergency. But all of those would be upfront with your onboarding with your HR department. And so that's something you might want to talk to them about of what your policy is. It's also good to inform your supervisor if there is any extenuating circumstances around you using your cell phone. If there's an emergency at home that you're monitoring, if there is something going on as far as like a health issue that you're just needing to be more informed of, make sure that your supervisor knows, because you're not being sneaky when you go to the bathroom for 15 minutes to take a phone call. We want to make sure that above everything that you are working, and that's the most important part of your job when you are clocked in. You may function better with a cell phone as far as your working conditions. That might be part of your job. And so we want to make sure that at all times we are using our cell phone in the most positive way for work, so that if somebody does question you, if you're using it, that you are able to answer them clearly and with good reason. For best practices, we want to make sure that your cell phone is either on silent or vibrate if you do have it on you, so that you're not interrupting any kind of meeting. We also want to make sure that if our cell phone is not a part of our job, that it's either kept in a locker, a car, a purse, and be able to check it on those 15-minute breaks or lunch times, so that you're avoiding any kind of issues. As we said, we want to make sure that our leadership is informed to make sure that there is no sneakiness around cell phone usage. I hope these are some helpful key topics for you as you go and pursue a new career, or if you are in a new one and trying to advance. And if you have any more, please check in on other videos.